Okay, I want to welcome everyone to our September board meeting. And we have the privilege of having Mr. Hagan Ball with us to open us in a word of prayer and also to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Like you said, my name is Hagan Ball, and I'll be leading us in prayer tonight. So if we all bow our heads. Lord, we come to you right now, and we thank you for the opportunity to be here tonight, Lord, safely, and just being able to listen to some of our leaders in the school right now, Lord. And we just pray for wisdom for them and our country right now, Lord, as we are going through a pandemic. And we just, we know that it's all in your hands, Lord, and that we just have to follow your instructions. We thank you for this opportunity, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Don't stand and turn to the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Hagan. Okay. Next on our agenda is the consent items consisting of the agenda, the minutes of the August the 11th, 2020 meeting, a fundraiser for the cheerleaders, a fundraiser for a construction class, another fundraiser for cheerleaders, a fundraiser for student council, and 2 fundraisers for FFA.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, ma'am?
I don't have all of those fundraisers. You said cheerleaders, construction class.
Cheerleaders, student council,
Okay, I don't have student council.
FFA.
And what was the other one?
2 for FFA.
2 FFAs. So they're not in your packet?
I have the FFA, but not the, it's not on my agenda.
Community calendar, I think it's a student council. I think the community calendar one is for the students.
Is her packet not?
Okay.
Do you have it in yours or you don't?
I have it here, but I don't have my packet.
The community calendar.
You can go ahead. I don't have it.
That's it.
I have it in that, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I make a motion.
Have a motion to accept the consent items. Have a second by Mr. Heitman first, and have a second by Mr. Masson. All in favor? Unanimous. We have no public participation, so we're going to move into financials. Ms. Buffett.
First thing we're looking at is the general fund. Looking at our revenues, a couple of things look odd there. One is the this line, the local intangible recording tax. We've got 16.66% of our fiscal year complete. It's showing 64% collected. That's actually a little bit misleading. Part of that is the Forest Land Protection Act money, which we got in August, and that's not budgeted in that line. It's actually budgeted up here, so I'm going to need to do, when we do our budget amendment, we'll move part of that down. But even without that, it's still at 30.9, so it is still a little bit high for this time of year, which is good. That's the intangible recording tax and the real estate transfer tax. So the actual on that includes about, it's almost 15,000 of the forest land protection. So that's why that one is looking really high instead of just a little bit high there. The other one that looks a little high is the local other. And that's because that's got the interest from the CD, well, it has a full year in there, and part of that is accrued, so that needs to be, part of that will be reversed out when I reverse out the accrual on that. But everything else looks in line for this time of year. And even though our revenues are low at 11.51%, that does look reasonable. On the expenditure side, when you compare to the 16.66%, everything is looking good. On the expenditures, we have some, and I remind you each year, we have some expenditures that are due at the beginning of the year. So you'll notice like the general administration's a little high because of some of the web-based licenses and some of the fees that are due at the beginning of the year that will be spread over the rest of the year. But even with that, we're at 15.98% on our expenditures, so we're well in line with our 16.66% of the year complete. On our balance sheet, we've got about $2.5 million in the bank, and our fund balance is at 1.513. I look back and last year this time, we were at 1.515, so we're very close to where we were this time last year. So
Pretty
I
close.
think everything is looking reasonable as far as our fund balance for this time of the year. And that's just a summary of the fund balance. Our SPLOST is still looking quite good. We're at $72,264.84, and you know we budget $50,000 a month, so we are almost a month ahead just the last 2 months. So that's a really good sign for us as far as our bond payment. On our, excuse me, our SPLOST summary, you can see we wound up with $520,945.75 in the SPLOST account. Our bond tax is sitting at $357,639, so we've got $878,585 to pay for our bond payments this year so far. I'll be paying one payment the end of September, and that will be the $401,862.50. And the next one will be due in March, and so you can see we've actually got the interest already on the March payment, and we just got to have the principal to come up with that one. So I think we'll be fine on our bond payments this year. On our capital projects, no change there. We still have that money sitting in the bank waiting to be allocated to a project. And we've got a lot of quarterly reports this time from the principals. Due to the shutdown of the schools, we were late getting our quarterlies done between the bookkeepers and me, but we have everything caught up now through the end of June. So this is the elementary school. You can see they started with 42,770, ended with March at 45,947.92. Then they started with that figure and ended the year with 38,172.48. I know a lot of effort has been gone into with the especially the elementary and the middle school bookkeepers because so many field trips were canceled where they had been collecting money towards those. So that was a lot of work on their part getting all that refunded to the proper parents. The middle school started with 71,758 in January, went to 72,974 in March, and then ended the year with 63,508.13. On our high school activity, they started with 53,322, went to 41,139 in March, and then at the end of the year had 42,334.65. And on the athletics, they started with 14,018.33, ended March with 12,140.50, and ended the year with 14,285.22.
Any questions of Ms. Bufford in the financials?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Brenda.
On your general fund expenditures,
Uh-huh.
I'm sorry, let's go back one more. Yes. General fund revenue.
Revenues, okay.
Yes. Would you tell me the amount of funds that the forest?
The Forest Land Protection Act was $14,900.21.
And you said that interest from the CD, what was the amount of that?
I didn't write the total, I wrote the accrual down. The accrued interest was 8242.42.
Okay, and you said you were gonna take that out of the budget?
That'll be reversed because that was actually accrued for last year. You know, we have to accrue it at the end of June, so.
Okay, and the forest money, where will that go?
That's gonna stay there. I just have it budgeted up in the regular ad valorem tax, and because for whatever reason, the financial review requires us to put that in a separate account number. So I just need to move part of the budget into that account number. Nothing's been budgeted for that.
So what's on this?
It's up, the budget is up in the first column there at the local ad valorem taxes. So part of that just needs to move down to forest land.
Gotcha, okay.
Just makes it look off there, but it's actually there.
So next month, it will be where it's supposed to be?
Well, if you want me to do that, if you want me to wait until we actually do a formal budget amendment, I can wait.
When do you plan to do the
We
amendment?
usually wait until we get some of the grant, the confirmations on all the grant amounts, so that we change all those at one time.
So is that
It's
more like
usually
November
More like
then?
November, December.
So if the money's in the wrong place, it takes, okay, so it'll take more than just a click of a button to put it where it's supposed to be?
Well, I mean, I can move it, the board just hadn't approved it technically, you know? I just like for it to be whatever you've actually approved. I don't
On
like to move it
the budget that
myself.
we approved, it, all the different item numbers go into specific things, I think is what she's saying. So when the one we approved has it in that, or has it in the top, but then when it came in, it
Right.
stays saying now it should
Put
go
in
in
11
here.
Instead of, yeah. Mhm.
And so it's just a matter of,
Yeah.
at that point,
But I can move it if that makes it easier to do, and you can just approve it at the next
No,
budget
I'm
amount.
trying to understand, if it was in the budget, but it was zero,
No.
it wasn't allocated.
It's budgeted in that top line, the
That's
one
what I
that
thought you
says
said. Right,
1110 to 1119.
right.
The budget is in that 4.2 million. But when I receive the funds, the state requires me to put it in 1180.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's in, the money's in the second line. So the two just don't match up, but it's all there.
Mm-hmm.
any other questions of Ms. Buffett? Okay, let's move to item number 7, the approval of the 2020 tax millage rate.
Annually, the board approves a millage rate, not only for M&O, but also for bond. This year, we are recommending that we approve the rollback rate, which is not an increase at all. We are recommending a rollback rate of 16.929 for M&O, and the rollback rate for the bond is 2.965. So if the board would approve those two recommendations for our rollback rate, we will set the levy for 2020, 2021.
And this is the rate that we did our budget, when we approved our budget last
Right?
month. That is the rate
hair-
we were looking at.
Came back a hair more than what the budget anticipated. The budget anticipated 60,000 less, but we got an increase of 1.51% that we did not anticipate. So we get a little bit more money, 60,000, about $60,000.
Any other discussion on it? Okay, I'll make a
What-
motion. I'm sorry.
You didn't look over this way. So we got an additional 60,000, correct?
About
Okay.
that.
Forecast. I mean, we don't have it yet, but that's
That's what my
Based on
next
the-
question, okay.
based on the digest. In this rate, we should end up with 60,000 more.
All right, so we're not raising, is the bond tax going up?
No, it's staying, is the rollback rate as well.
And those rollback rates are 16.929?
929, correct? And 2.965 for the bond.
And that's what they are currently.
Well,
Currently
currently,
it's 17,
Right, but we went
and
to
the
the
rollback
rollback.
rate is
We went
16.929.
back to the other one. Okay.
This sheet right here, bottom right-hand corner. You turn it upside down, there you go. Bottom right-hand corner.
Okay. Thank you.
sure.
And these are the exact number, Mr. Chair, that we decided when we did the budget, correct?
Yes. This,
Well,
this millage rate is what we said, that we were anticipating. But as he said, our digest actually is a little bit higher than what we worked the budget through.
So what's,
When we prepared the budget, we didn't have the digest, so we used last year's digest figures.
right,
When the figures came in, they were slightly higher, so it's a little bit more than what we put in the budget by the $60,000. It's very close, but it is a little bit more, because the digest did increase a little bit.
right. And as I understand it, that's helping us and not hurting us.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, I
definitely.
got
That's
that.
why I didn't want to put anything more in the budget at that time, because we didn't know what that final digest would be.
Okay. Good.
All right, I make a motion that we accept, that we approve the tax digest as presented, both for the 16.929 at the rollback rate and the M&O of 2.965 for the bond.
Second the motion.
We have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous. Next on the agenda is our workers' comp insurance.
Workers' compensation is obviously something that we have to have, and it's something that we put out for bid from time to time. A number of the policies have a 90-day notice within the policy that forces you to notify the company that you are either bidding, depending on how the policy is written, or that you are dropping them because you've got a bid out and you're going to have someone else do your insurance. This particular policy has that type of clause in it, so it does have a 90-day clause. So we advertised not only from individuals that we have done business with before, but also on our website for anyone that was interested in bidding on workers' compensation insurance. We sent out 5 and advertised on the website. We ended up getting 4 back. We got, as you can see there in front of you, the 4 we got back was BBWH Insurers, Franklin Insurance, GSBA Risk Management Insurance, and Solomon, Deaton, and Weiss is who we currently have. Now, we had GSBA Risk Management prior to going with Solomon, Deaton, and Weiss because Solomon, Deaton, and Weiss had a better price at the time. At this point, after going through the bid process and everybody meeting the requirements, GSBA Risk Management Services is a much lower price at $39,974. Now, in the process of doing this, we were rather concerned of that price being a lot lower. So Ms. Bufford got on the phone and talked to the appropriate people. We actually solidified this price for
A year and a half.
a 1.5 years or 18 months as opposed to just 12 months, which is good to hear. And that price, in other words, can't go up for 18 months. Now, to me, one of the obvious questions is what were we paying before, in other words, last year, the current year for Solomon, Deaton, and Weiss? We were paying $70,445. So this has allowed us to save some money in our insurance costs. And I'm recommending that we purchase a policy for workers' compensation insurance with GSBA Risk Management for $39,974.
And as you said, you checked, these are apples to apples.
Yes,
I mean, I see the class codes the employment class codes and salaries, so I mean, that's what they bid on.
Right, the next page is everything that they bid on. And we made sure that they knew exactly what to bid on, so there wasn't a question of a modifier or all of those kind of different changes. We wanted to make sure it was, as you said, apples to apples.
Yeah, I'll leave that one.
Question, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
What was GSBA's when we had them prior to Solomon?
What was what, I'm sorry?
What was the cost when GSBA had it before Solomon? Do you remember?
I do not.
I do not remember
I
that
have to
number
look
either.
back, that was 3 years ago, because we did it 3 years ago.
But you said for some reason GSBA, did they get out of that business, or they just couldn't do us?
Well, we bid it 3 years ago, and they didn't have the low bid.
Okay.
So we accepted Solomon as the low bid at the time. And they're trying to expand the amount of people that they are doing workers' comp with. So we've been told that they're doing very low bids throughout the state.
But as you said, I mean, this, does this lock us in for that 18 months?
Yes.
So were the others 3 years,
The others were just for a year.
For 1 year.
but we just kept renewing?
Right.
Mhm.
And it does change based on what payroll you put in there, but all of
Right.
them were bidding on what I put in those figures there.
Right.
So there, it is comparing apples to apples for each one. And we had no problems with them prior, we just went with the low bidder.
So it covers everything, Mr. Chair, that we needed to cover?
So, Mr. Hyman?
How many years have we been insured with them?
We've been with the current one for 3 years, and we were with GSCA for, I don't remember how many years prior. I'd have to look and see before that.
Was it a number of years? I mean,
I believe so.
We didn't have any trouble with them. They just
Didn't?
weren't the low bid.
okay.
They were easy to deal with.
You know what rated insurance they are, what their rating is?
I don't know that. It's a fund. Both of them are funds. The one that we're with now is the Georgia Education Workers' Comp Fund, and then GSBA has their fund. So there are two in the state of Georgia that are those trust fund types.
Okay. So they do the whole state.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Sound like a good deal, man.
I don't mind saving money if it's apples to apples.
Yeah.
All right, do we have any other discussion? Any questions about it? Okay,
I make a motion to accept the GSVA Risk Management Services, $39,974.
all right, we have a motion.
Second.
We have Mr. Madison, we have a second by Mr. Heitman to accept the GSBA Risk Management Services low bid. All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, next we're going to be talking about two different resident enrollment requests. I just remind board members that these are on your computers, but not on the screen, these names, and the names are not to be mentioned.
The first one we'll discuss is a student that is actually in-state. The student has gone to our school in the past. Unfortunately, the family moved, and the family's willing to handle the transportation. Still wants to maintain the Lincoln County experience, very happy with the school system and wants to maintain that. And in talking to the principal was very happy with the student, and the student was not an issue either. So it is my recommendation that we accept this non-resident enrollment. This is with in-state, so there would not be any tuition cost. And that student would be transferred by the parent, or I'm sorry, transported by the parent.
Okay, you see the names in front of you. Any questions about it? And this is a middle school student.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
since this student technically lives outside of the county and is re-enrolling into our system, correct?
Yes, ma'am?
So they would still have the option of doing virtual since they're a new
Yes,
kid on the
ma'am.
block?
We would offer that, yes, ma'am.
Okay. I have no problems, Mr. Superintendent.
Good.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept this non-resident enrollment request on the first one.
Second motion.
We have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous? And now we have one more.
This is a family that actually lives across the river in McCormick. This actually requires tuition paid. Tuition for the year is $3,300. This family is interested in breaking ground on land that they own and building a house and/or moving into a home that is actually on that property, but currently they're renting that property. So they're still living in McCormick. They are making monthly payments of $275 a month, and they have already made the month payment to start the school year. This student was with us last year and has been with us in elementary school the whole time she's been in elementary school. And the principal is very happy with this student as well. So I recommend that we approve this enrollment of this student based on continuation of the tuition paid, or the student and parents break ground and move into Lincoln County.
And what's the sum of that?
$3,300 annually, or $275 a month.
I have a question. You said that this child had been in our system before
Yes, ma'am.
as a Lincoln County resident? I'm confused.
They were actually in our district as a Lincoln County resident, because when they first enrolled the child, they had explained to the principal at the time that they were going to break ground and start building. And that unfortunately did not happen. Things happened in the family, and when the new principal came in, the new principal started doing some research and found that this family lived across the river. And that happens quite commonly when you go through looking at records. So as that was found, we got a hold of them, contacted them, and explained the situation, and they understood and were willing to continue here in Lincoln County with the payment.
So when the child was here before, were we getting FTE money for this student?
We were, because we were told and counted them as living in Lincoln County.
Now, you may know more than I do on it, but I mean, based on what it says here, they were living in a house, they actually own a house in Lincoln County, and then they leased it out, rented it out to someone. So I don't know what, it doesn't say what point in the history that occurred. I don't know that. So.
So they have relatives here, according to this, correct?
And family, yes.
And have been in, the relatives have been in the school system.
So I thought where I saw there were still some here.
This year,
'Cause
unless something changes, she'll be paying tuition.
Correct.
Because what we know, she'll be paying tuition. It's the only way we can allow them to come.
But I thought the law, and correct me if I'm wrong, and it's not that I'm looking back at money, but I thought the law said if they had someone here that child could move in with or live with.
If
that
you
they could
change,
use that address?
if you change guardianship, give the guardianship to someone in Lincoln County, and that's acceptable. However, this is a renter, and I don't know that it is a family member that's renting, so that didn't seem to be an option to the parents.
Okay. So this is the first time they've paid money to come to school,
Correct.
but they used to live here?
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions by anybody else? Okay, as is presented by Dr. Light, the student will be required to pay tuition to be able to continue unless the residential status changes. So,
I make a motion to accept.
okay, we have a motion by Mr. Madison to accept the student. We have a second by Ms. Barksdale. All in favor? Unanimous. Next on our agenda is the facility dedication and renaming request. And I know Mr. Zay Banks, actually Specialist Zay Banks, wants to call us and discuss it.
Mr. Chair, before you do that, let me ask you something
In reference to what, Ms. Friend?
in reference to what you're about to do.
Okay?
Does the law provide, because you're setting precedents, so I just want to be clear on the matter. So this is a point of clarity and point of order. Where in the law that, other than board members who need to call into a board meeting, can legally call in and be part of the board meeting? I couldn't find it, so y'all enlighten me, please. I just want to make sure we're following the law.
There's nothing in the law that says we can't.
Well, actually, it took a law to say that we could teleconference in. And it says in that law that we can only do it twice a year. And you, Mr. Chair, was very adamant in discussing that a few months ago
That's true.
with myself. So all I'm saying is make sure that you're doing what is legal. And I just wanted to know what law you're referencing to do what you're doing, because it will set precedent. So anybody else who ever wants to do this, Mr. Chair, you will have to allow.
Thank you for reminding me of that. Will it ring in here? There you go.
Isn't that plugged, go ahead and answer it, because that's plugged into the fax machine, right? You can't get it there either? Well, make sure that I push that in far enough, please, Miss Lynn, in case it's not connected, because it should be pretty easy to connect.
We
I
got a
thought I
line
did.
here. So he needs to call the fax number?
I think that's connected to the fax line,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
So what number is that?
Call 7938. All right, 7938.
7938?
Yes.
It's a fax line. Yeah. Think about that. What's the fax line? This is hooked up to the fax line. Hello?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. You are with the Lincoln County Board of Education meeting.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I was calling the wrong number. I'm sorry.
that's
That's
fine. We
because I
gave you
gave you
the
the
wrong
wrong
number.
number, so I apologize.
I'm like, man, I done called this number 20 times. Am I crazy?
Let's see if I can get you a little louder. All right, try it now.
All right, Specialist Banks,
Can you hear me?
yes, we have your, you have the presentation, on that, correct?
It's up there,
It-
yes.
You can just slide down.
Is it here?
You should be able to just scroll down, Ms. Kay.
Oh, it's on here.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
ma'am. Just scroll
Okay,
down, there you go.
sorry. Okay.
The, right now, it's on your first slide, so if you want to start trying to discuss it, and then,
Okay, so it's the one that says, we're on the PowerPoint, correct?
Yes, sir. Facility
Okay, well, is it the
dedication and
first
renaming
one with my
request.
name on it, or the one that says the board policy?
your name, the one with your name on it.
Well, all right, I read this at the last board meeting, so I'm not gonna go over it again, but again, my name is Specialist Xavier Brian Banks. I am a part of the Lincoln County School System, and I'm here on a request for a facility dedication and renaming request. Next slide, please.
Okay.
If you'll see, the next slide is the board policy FDC, and there in the red, those are just some points that I want to highlight for the naming criteria in order to have a facility renamed for our board policy. It says facilities. The one in the red, the first sentence, it says facilities may be named only after the individual is no longer employed by Lincoln County School System or has been retired from his service in Lincoln County School for a minimum of 2 years, and this is in order to honor a retired and/or deceased person. And if you look at the bottom of that slide, you'll see that those are the current renamed facilities that we have. And those first three are the ones that I want you to pay close attention to, the ones that are highlighted in red. And that's Buddy Bufford Field, Thomas Bunch Fieldhouse, and the Larry Campbell Stadium. All three of those individuals were former coaches of Lincoln County High School school system, and they all have state championships under their belt in some sport one another. Next slide, please. That brings me to my next point of Coach Howard Ellis. Coach Howard Ellis has done numerous things for our school system, and if you look at those bulletins, the first point that it says, one that represents integrity, professionalism, and support of the mission of the system. That is in reference to the FCC policy that was on the second slide as well. And his criteria are all bulleted below. I'm not going to read each point, but just an overview. He was employed for Lincoln County for over 30 years. He coached numerous sports. He had several different athletic events that he was a part of with the FCA, and he also won the Outstanding Educator Award as well. The next bulletin was someone who demonstrated exceptional performance, extraordinary service, and loyalty to our district shall be considered. And those are another list of his criteria, what he has done and his accomplishment, with him being the first and the only current coach to ever win the state championship in overall in track and field. And that was the list of all his other things as well. Next slide, please. Outstanding service. If you look at that slide, you'll just see different articles that I was selected in the top left corner. That's a picture from the 1984-1985 yearbook, and you'll see a picture of him with the track team that he actually won with. And if you can read that, if you zoomed in, you probably can't now, but you will see where it says Coach Howard Ellis led the boys track team to the very first state championship in LCHS history. Let's go Big Red. That was on page 117 in that yearbook. To the right, you'll see the Lincoln Journal article where it's titled Coach Howard Ellis encourages love and feels the faith. In the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see the boys basketball team, and I'll just read the first sentence to you. The Red Devils entered the region tournament, are slight favorites, and moved into the championship game with the victory over Louisville. And they were coached by Coach Howard Ellis for the #1 seed. And to the right is where he was also the coach of the golf team as well. Next slide, please. And the last and final slide is the one with proposed signage and naming if we was to get this approved. At the top, you'll see the LCHS diamond crest up there, and below that is an arch going over that archway where it says home of the Red Devils, and then below it, it'll say the Howard Ellis Track and Field. The lettering and signage will all match all the wording and signage lettering that's on the front of the main entrance of the Lincoln County High School. And to the left and the right on the columns, those gray blocks, those will be the different, what's the word?
Plaques.
The plaques, yes, exactly. And I sent that as well in the presentation that I sent to the board members and you as well, Dr. Light.
It's in here, it shows them, sir.
Okay. Is there anything else that you need me to go over? Is the next page, does it go over that as well? I don't know if all those documents that I sent over.
Yeah, right now, she has the front of the track stadium And if you go down to the next one, it shows the different plaques that he was referring to.
Okay, yeah, okay, I didn't know those were included. So that is the one that'll be on the left side if this was to get approved. Again, all this wording, and these are examples, so this can change at the will of the superintendent and the board if there needs to be. And that would just be a look to the one at the left is an example of what it could possibly look like. And of course, we would change the emblem to be the Lincoln County High School Diamond. And that would just say this is dedicated, the track and field is dedicated and renamed in honor of Coach Howard Ellis, the date it is dedicated in the year, and the Board of Education. And then it has the administration at the bottom with the superintendent being Dr. Samuel Light and our associate superintendent, Dr. Howard F. Gamby. This is in correlation to the front of the school. If you walk in the big front of the Lincoln County High School building, you will see this same signage on the left-hand side beside Ms. Beth Hines, financial director's office. You will see the same plaque there with that wording, so we want to make sure that we're consistent with all the things in our system. And if you go to the next slide, that'll be the other plaque that we were trying to use as well. To the left is an example of what it could possibly look like. And of course, we would use a photo or some type of drawing of Coach Ellis, and it just gives an overview of what Coach Ellis did, what he brought to the system, and why the actual track and field is named after him. And again, all these are examples of what it could possibly look like if it is approved. The last slide. And that was just the overview of where the funding for this project is going. You all have this information so you can read it yourself. But I just wanted to make sure that I made the point that this is not done by one singular person. This is not an organized group. This is a community effort. So all funds that were raised for the Lincoln County school system as a donation in order for this said project. And no money will be asked for from the Lincoln County Board of Education in any regard. And there has been communication with several different people and vendors that could do this possible outage, and we haven't chosen one particularly, but we've looked at different things. And the reason we didn't want to go and say this is what we're actually doing is because we want to make sure that we got it approved first. But that's just an estimate of what the pricing could cost. But again, no money will be asked from the district or the board, so I just put that in there just so you can have a rough estimate of exactly what was going on.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for Specialist Banks? Okay, as he said, anytime we do a name or something of that nature, I mean, part of our policy, the group that wants to do that is responsible for funding whatever is being done for that. And he talked about that. He shows, different things. Of course, he shows wording and stuff. I personally, if we approve this, I don't think for a renaming of a facility that the administration plaque that's listed there, I don't think it should be placed on something like this. I mean, there's not anything being built. Most of the other plaques that have administration, the school administration at that time is only done when something is being built. This is not, nothing new is being built. It's renaming something. So I personally don't think, that's like I said, this is my thoughts on it. I don't think that administration plaque is needed. Anybody else have any comments?
Mr. Chair.
Yes,
I'd
ma'am.
like to entertain a motion that we have heard the information that was presented to us via computer at our homes, on our website, emails. And you guys heard the presentation. And since there was no questions asked, I make a motion that we accept the proposal of the community of Lincoln County to name the track and field right down over there, the Howard Ellis Track and Field.
And I second that motion. Is there any other discussion? Any other questions?
I would just like to say, when we do it, let's don't halfway do it. Let's don't do one part of it and wait on the other. Let's have it all ready to go and do the entire part of it when we do it.
Hey, you ain't got to worry about it, Mr. Master. Amen.
Okay? All in favor? Unanimous.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. All right.
Specialist Banks, I do commend you. Your presentation was very good. You had everything in it. And not that didn't surprise me. And correct me if I'm wrong, but last month when you called us, you didn't say you were Specialist Banks, did you?
No, sir. I just got promoted to specialist on Tuesday. So this just happened. I'm on my way to sergeant. I'll be there at the end, by the end of the year, hopefully.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Zay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Hallelujah.
I do have one question. What is
Yes, sir.
what is the proposed timeline that you are wanting to have have everything installed and then the dedication?
So the dedication ceremony, I've been speaking with Coach Barnett, and we've been trying to come up with a timeline as well. The proposal was at the beginning, what we were trying to do before pre-coronavirus was we wanted to have this the week of homecoming. So while we were having different people from the community come in for homecoming, we can have the dedication that same week as well. We don't know what the process will be now with large gatherings and whatever the football season is going to do. So we want to make sure we stay in contact with the principal and Dr. Light as well so we can know what would be a good time frame. But we have been speaking to the different developers and the architects as well, and they said that we have a 2-week turnaround. So whenever we already have the funding and everything situated, so once we figure out when we want to actually do it and have the unveiling, we'll make sure that we stay in correlation with the system as well so everyone is on the same period. But it's all done at one time, so it's not like 3 different projects. Once the signage is being posted over top, it'll also be posted on the bottom as well. So it won't be a piece here and a piece there. It'll all be over at one time. So it's a one full project in itself in its entirety.
And just a reminder, you've got, examples of what you want to put on it. Whatever your final, whatever's decided, once you, choose, whoever's going to be making these plaques and doing the different signage, just make sure it comes back before Dr. Light, for your final approval of what is done.
Of course. I'll make sure I stay in correlation with Dr. Light and the system as well.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you,
job,
Zay.
You did good, Zay.
Anything else that I need, let me know, all right? Y'all have a blessed day.
You too. Next on the agenda is policies for review. The GBW, Professional Personal Ethics, JGF, Eye Protection, KN, Complaints and Grievances.
All 3 of those are for review. Do not need to be adjusted, altered, or changed. So we're recommending that those stay as they are written. The next one down is policies for deletion, which is GBQ, Professional Personnel Retirement. That one is for deletion. Had a conversation with our attorneys, and everything is covered in statutes 47, and there's no reason for us to have a policy because the statutes would supersede it anyway. So he strongly recommended that we eliminate the policy. So that policy is for deletion.
Okay? Superintendent's report.
We have still sitting at 1, the first day of opening a school for coronavirus, and we are thanking the good Lord above for not having coronavirus in the school. It's been a wonderful opening. We have some amazing and awesome teachers and administrators, and I again thank them for doing a superior job. That's all I have for the superintendent's report at this time.
Okay?
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry?
You have something for executive session, right?
Yes, we definitely do.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I on an illusion? I missed your comment. You said we haven't had any coronavirus at school?
Said we had
One.
one.
Oh, one.
Yes, ma'am. The
Okay.
first one, the first day.
Or was it the second day?
No, it was the first day that we were actually notified that it happened. And that was it, just one. That was enough.
How many people did that affect?
Total of 15,
16 with the one?
correct.
What about the teacher?
There wasn't a teacher that was
The
directly
teacher
involved.
was
No.
social, okay. And have we had any more cases?
No. I don't want any more.
Did that person ride the school bus, the public school bus?
Yes, there was one other student on the bus, and we took care of all of that. That's part of the 15 that was there. Our administrators and teachers did an exceptional job.
Oh, I'm sure they did, but I just want all the information. I very rarely get the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so that's why I'm asking.
Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion.
Motion
Mr.
by
Chair.
Mr. Hyman, second by Mr. Madison.
Question. What do we, it's not listed here, why are we going into executive session?
It's listed here.
It's not
Number
on
14, I'm sorry, number 15.
mine just says executive session, but it doesn't say personnel or whatever. Why are we going into executive session?
Personnel.
This person.
Thank you. It's recommended by the superintendent, I make a motion that we hire Ms. Ashton Crosby as substitute teacher for the 2020-2021 school year. Second by Ms. Barksdale, all in favor? Unanimous? It's recommended by the superintendent, I make a motion that we hire Ms. Kaylee Snyder as substitute teacher for the 2020-2021 school year. Second by Mr. Hyman, all in favor? Unanimous?
Make a motion to
To
adjourn.
adjourn. So moved. Second.
Motion by Mr. Hyman, second by Ms. Freeman. All in favor.
Night,
Thank you very
everybody.
much.